Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now, here's Jay.
Jay is rocking along here. And welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET 1490 AM, where we contemplate retirement, even though some of us aren't retired yet, like me, and how best to prepare for retirement and how to best stay successfully retired. And we have a special guest in Ryan Schmidt today that knows a lot about retirement, but you know, the first half of the program for sure will not be an infomercial, although sometimes it should be. But give me a call, Dr. Heckham. Give me a call or visit drheckham.com, as you probably know by now. DRHECM, Home Equity Conversion Mortgage.com. Or like the radio show, theeducatedretirement.com, or give me a call right here, 866-955-2233, 866-955-2233. And why should you do that? Because as we've said before, the future is now. And knowledge is power. So be sure to jump over to the website, and you can see it, drheckham.com or theeducatedretirement.com. You can watch the show here, or you can watch the show on the KMET podcast, which is on their website, and all the older shows. And I'm completely up to date right now. Just scroll down on that front page of my website, and you go directly to the YouTube channel, and you got like a shorter video of just me talking music, talking movies. Then you have just the guest, and on the guest ones, I do a fancy. I almost said something Sean wouldn't have liked, but I do a fancy edit. So anyway, what's my day job? I work at a place called the Loan Source, NMLS 384565, DRE, which stands for Department of Real Estate, 792630. I've been in good standing with them for 120 years or so. I don't sell real estate, though, but I know something about it, and I am able to get there. Today is National Bagel Day. And you probably want to know why there isn't one in my face. But, you know, we'll get them in and out for the rest of the show. It's also National Hat Day. And I'm sitting here without a hat either. But I'll take care of that in just a minute. Now, in the meantime, however, I'm going to have NASA Nellie give us a short report on the Mars lander process. Yeah, that's a rocket landing right there. Go get it.
Remember NASA's Perseverance rover that launched on July 30th to travel to the planet Mars? Well, only a little over 40 million miles left, and will be landing on February 18th. It is carrying 2 microphones, and NASA tells us that we should be able to hear the sounds of Mars shortly after it lands. Its goal is to gather rock samples to return to Earth and to search for the evidence of ancient life. Oh, in case you were curious, the Mars Curiosity rover is still very much in operation and has just celebrated its 3,000th day on the red planet, still photographing and exploring.
Where's my bagel? Anyway, thank you. There's a rocket just taking off again. Martin Luther King's birthday is today. And, you know, it is Martin Luther King Day on Monday. And he was born in 1928. And left us when he was unfortunately assassinated in 1968. He's the leader of the civil rights movement from 1955 until 1968. He was, unlike myself, a gifted student and was able to skip grades 9 and 12 to enter college. Some of us had to repeat some grades, but that's another story. Anyway, at a book signing, this is something I didn't really know too much about before, but at a book signing, he was almost killed. He was stabbed in 1958 in Harlem. Oh, that's another hat. Okay, I thought it was a bagel. I was going to take a bite out of it. At age 29, he was, and like me, he was a jazz lover and thought that jazz was the perfect soundtrack for the civil rights movement. This is kind of a jazzy hat. I'll keep this on. This is what he had to say concerning jazz. Jazz speaks for life. The blues tells the story of life's difficulties. If you think for a moment, you will take the hardest realities of life and put them into music, only to come out with some new hope or sense of triumph. I think I missed a word there, but I'm sure you understand what I was trying to say. At age 35, he was the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And Monday we do celebrate him on Martin Luther King Day. Wait a minute. John Carpenter can wait while I take a bite out of this, right? No, I hope I can talk, but if I can't, tough. Anyway, John Carpenter was born in 1948. He was actually born tomorrow, but what the heck, we'll move him towards today. Film director of over 62 films, producer, screenwriter, and composer. You know, some people don't know he wrote the music for almost all of his films. I kind of like this stuff, but he's been associated with people eating bagels. No, mostly with the horror, action, and science fiction genre. It's hard to say with a mouthful of bagel. In the 1970s and 80s. At an early age, he became very interested in films, particularly the Westerns, Howard Hawks, John Ford, and Sergio Leone. I really is a fan of Sergio Leone. He also liked the classic films of the 1950s, such as A Thing from Another World and Forbidden Planet. Where's the thing? And as you know, this has always been one of my favorites, and sorry, John, I still like this one better than yours. This, of course, we've talked about several times on the show, and I forgot we had this, and I've showed the album and the video disc before, but this is a picture disc of the music, vinyl, of course. He began making his own films. I think I'm done with the bagel. I can talk now. On his 8mm before high school. He later transferred from Kentucky University to the USC School of Arts. Remember, that's the same school that rejected Steven Spielberg. So there. Anyway, where he made his first film. It was an 8-minute film called Captain Voyeur. Kind of the voyeur effect I can come and see Carpenter getting involved with. Anyway, of his movies, Christine was originally a vehicle, speaking of vehicles, for Kevin Bacon, who dropped out to take the lead in Footloose. So Escape from New York and Escape from Los Angeles. He used Kurt Russell, who he also used in The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China. Where's The Thing? New Thing handy. Okay, he also did The Fog. And The Fog is, yeah, sure it is. Sure it is. I don't know where it went, but it was right there. But you know what we mean by The Fog. The one thing that I thought really, really weird and really a lot of... Now, we had a bigger one, but that's okay. That's all right. We had the one with her on the cover, remember? Oh, there it is.
Sorry.
Went in the wrong pile, so, you know. how piles go. But there we go. Now, one thing I thought really interesting was that inspired Carpenter to do The Fog was inspired by a movie that we talked about quite a bit about a month ago or so, The Trollenberg Terror, also known as The Crawling Eye. And that was with Forrest Tucker. And he did this movie just before he did the Hammer production of The Abominable Snowman, which I did see since we talked about it. And it's a lot better than, I mean, I love the goofy ones, but one was good. And this, of course, I love. And I've got a bigger model of The Crawling Eye, and maybe we'll be able to pull it out and show it to you next time around. And The Fog was remade sometime later, as you probably know. Do I have my sunglasses for They Live? Nope. Okay, we didn't get my sunglasses ready for They Live, but seen it so many times. Probably the most boring fight scene ever to be put on a movie, but it is fun. Overall, I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool. We don't have any of those weird looking people, but I kind of put that together. He had a few movies which I thought were all very good in that period of time. Prince of Darkness, we've watched many, many, many times. And here's Prince of Darkness. And it's about an LA church where there's weird things going on. But it's kind of neat. It's got like time, it's got a bunch of stuff. Let me show you a couple other quickies in case. Village of the Damned. Now that's a redo because there was an original, just like there was of The Thing, and that was a good one. He did that one, Vampires, and one I really, really, really like, and that's probably a lot because I like Carpenter, and it's H.P. Lovecraft, which is just about the most famous horror author I know of. He did Starman, and that was with Jeff Bridges, who always get mixed up, I don't know why, with Kurt Russell. We talked about Jeff a couple of weeks ago, and his pop, Lloyd, has a birthday today, and we'll get to him in just a couple of minutes here. The Thing, he did that, and Carpenter's remake of one of his favorite films that we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, earlier in his life. That early version was a screenplay and production of Howard Hawks, who we also talked about earlier. Also, if you watch the original Thing, I think there's two movies that make me think of this. One is The Thing, the other one is Citizen Kane, and that's where people talk as if they were normally talking to each other, kind of stepping onto each other's lines. I think it's brilliant. And so which one, Sean? If you're around, which one of the Things do you like? No? Okay. Halloween. That's probably his most famous film. Whoa. Boy, this is heavy. And I know we all know about this, but I've found a few little tidbits of things that were pretty interesting. And, oh, you know what? I forgot this. When we were talking about hats, of course, don't forget hats. And since we were showing this, I also wanted to show you, we talked about Matheson, the guy that wrote so many of those movies and so much. Showed this picture a couple weeks ago, so I'm going to show it again. This is Matheson, the guy that wrote I Am Legend and all the variations and so many of the Twilight Zone films. And speaking of Spielberg, who didn't get into USC, this, of course, is a decent hat for you. But Michael Myers, you remember Michael Myers? He was the one, the murderous one. So he wore, in the film that is, he wore a mask of William Shatner's Captain Kirk character with a bit of the eye openings changed. Now, the man who played Michael Myers is Nick Castle, and no relation to William Castle, but there's some relation that's kind of it. Let's go with this picture first. That shows him the way he looks today, and also posing the way he looks today with the mask that he wore. So there's a little bit, there he is now. And but so what you say? Well, he also appeared in other films like Dark Star, and he also directed other films like The Last Starfighter, Dennis the Menace, the movie, Major Payne and the you-know-what, no, Major Payne and Taps, not to mention several others. And this is Gregory Hines' autograph that we got in New York City. I don't know. Gregory Hines has passed away quite a few years ago, but we met him and his son in an elevator, and they were trapped. They were trapped with us. That's why he had to sign it. Otherwise, he would have been running away from anybody who looked like me. So, but Carpenter used the name. Now, this I thought was really cool. The name, real name of the guy that played Michael in Halloween. He used that name for the main lead in the film The Fog. So the real Nick also co-wrote the screenplay for Escape from New York. And as promised a bit earlier, Lloyd Bridges was born on this day, 1913, and earned his wings in 1998. He is a American film, stage, and television actor, starring in, I mean, get this, over 150 films. Now, what I read said starring in. I don't know if he just appeared in them or he was a star, but, you know, he was there. And he began his career with his Broadway debut for 1937, joined Columbia Pictures in 1940, playing multiple small roles, and earned a whopping $75 a week. I don't know what that really would be in today's money, but I'm sure he was very happy. After his discharge, let me say hello to Pat here, way back here. After his discharge from the Coast Guard, and now we know where things like Sea Hunt came from, don't we? He did a lot more films and Sea Hunt, which started in 1958 and lasted until 1961. And Rocket Ship XM. Are you familiar with this? This is a kind of a very, I don't know, it was very different for its time. It doesn't have the, quote, Hollywood happy ending, but it definitely talks about man and man's conquest of the unknown, which is kind of what 2001 did. Also, this is the music from it, and that music was written the same guy that wrote this, the Grand Canyon Suite. And I just thought I've got about 6 versions of this, of different orchestras, etc. But this is Disneyland version, and I think you know why Disneyland is put this out, because of their diorama, which it is there, but we can't get into. And the guy that orchestrated it and is this guy. This is another double album who did so many more films like Big Town, The Cisco Kid, The Boy and the Pirates, on and beginning of the end. A whole bunch of them. Amazing, Colossal Man. So this is a big musical person for science fiction movies. And speaking of music, the theremin. This was the first time any science fiction movie, used electronic music. I know we all think of the great and wonderful Forbidden Planet, but this is the one with the theremin. This just happens to be a documentary about the guy that did the theremin, and the director of Rocket Ship XM was Kurt Newman, who also was the director of the original Fly, and this one, Kronos, which I think we've talked about before. And who did the music? Oh, music by Paul Swatell and Bert Schaefer. I remember we talked about those guys. This is about as hokey as it gets, but boy, I do love it. You know what I mean? And speaking of Rocket Ship XM, I don't know where that went, but the head of that, or the lead lady in there, looks so much, it's not, but looks so much like the Folgers lady. He was also in, I don't know if you can see the picture, not too much. Let's give it a try since we got kind of a minute here, maybe. Where did it go? I don't know whether you're seeing it or not, but anyway, he was also in High Noon, of course, the great classic Airplane, Blown Away, which we're about to be blown away here for a break here any second, and with his son Jeff was also in Blown Away, and more. Plus the father of Jeff, who we spotlighted just a little bit ago. So just a reminder that you are on KMET, listening to the Educated Retirement. Be sure to call at 866-955-2233, 866-955-2233. And this day in history, the first top hat was worn by John Etherington, a London haberdasher, who, when he set foot on the sidewalk with that hat, he created such a sensation that he was arrested for disturbing the peace. And while women fainted and children began to cry, Treasure of Sierra Madre premiered today in 1949. And, there's a radio show of it. And here is, we'd all see that. We know that. Anyway, with that, we go to, there is just a word, Captain Beefheart, also birthday today. But the captain, he's already got his promotion to captain. He can wait for a while. So with that, I'm going to say, please do not go away. We'll be right back with our special guest. So take care of yourselves. See you in a minute. That's the music I hate breaking into most of all. I love that minor key theme. And we are here at the summit of radio entertainment, I'm sure. And welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET. And we will get right to our guest, Ryan Schmidt. And I don't want to give too much away about him. We'll let him introduce himself, tell a little bit about himself, and then we'll just go from there. Neither he nor I have a problem talking, so we're not going to be worried about that. It's just Sean's going to have to, make sure when we're done, okay, right. Sean? So, all right. So go ahead and just say hello and, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Schmidt. I work for Finance of America Reverse, the leading reverse mortgage company. Been there for 11 years. I know a lot of people say I don't look like somebody who's been in the reverse mortgage business for that long, but I have been. I started as a loan officer and moved my way through several positions, management, and now I'm in marketing. I've dealt with a lot of borrowers and customers and had a lot of stories. I feel that this is my calling, helping people with retirement. I can't imagine my life anywhere else. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, I was actually born in Kansas. Born in Kansas, moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then just a year ago, I followed my dreams and moved to San Diego. So now I am in sunny San Diego, and I think it's over 80 degrees here. So I was trying to have the city in the background, but the lighting wasn't working. So I was trying to show everybody the warm weather, but was not able to do that. And I'm here today just to kind of share some of my experiences because I've been in the business for so long. I have a wide group of friends from all ages, from all walks of life. And I like to take all of that and share my life experiences.
Yeah, I used to be a wide friend of yours, but I lost a lot of weight, so I'm kind of a skinny friend now. But sorry, you'll find you got to plug me up sometime to keep
That's
my mouth
okay.
shut.
That's okay. So yes, I remember that when you went missing on me, Jay. So where was I going with that? So yes, I moved to San Diego, and I just want to help you guys kind of explain, not really the technical side of reverse mortgages. I just want to motivate everybody to take the next step. You know, I took that big step of moving to San Diego, and it was the best thing for me. And I've dealt with a lot of clients who get paralyzed right before, once they're in retirement, they just think that there's nothing else to do. And one thing that I strongly believe in is that when people stop learning and stop wanting new things, they stop growing, and then depression sits in. So I want to kind of talk about that. Let's talk about ways, not with the reverse mortgage, but ways that we can get people in a better retirement life. It's not about the things you have, it's about what you have in your heart and the happiness. And that's what I hope we can share today.
Right. We talk a lot
here. I have a little, if everybody can get a pen and a paper, because we have a little activity as well.
Okay, but I just want to remind you, we talk a lot on this show about people staying active and what they can do and how they might open another business or do whatever. I just can't imagine retirement without activity. And go ahead again. I'm sorry.
Right. No, that's it. That's exactly it. And I have seen the people in my life and borrowers that when they stop the activity, they go down quickly. I mean, that's part of what happens. So it's because your brain, your body needs healthy brain, healthy heart, healthy physical body. And when one of those goes, the others start falling apart. So yeah, I hope we get to talk about those things today. And I hope I get to motivate you guys, like I said, not to get a reverse mortgage, but to really just help you.
Yeah, and if we don't get to everything you're trying to bring out, we're going to have you back soon.
I'm always, it looks like my Fridays are going to be booked going forward.
Okay, that's a deal.
All right, well, I'll turn it back over to you. Stop talking about myself, and I'll let you talk about yourself. Okay.
No, these people know about my stuff probably until it's, until they're tired of it. I'm not tired of my own stuff because I stay busy and I do these mortgages. I used to do, as you probably know, all kinds of mortgages. And as Ryan has been moving up in his company and his world, I've been moving down, but happily so, because I was, the owner of a fairly large company. And, I just did moving down as a joke, because being a loan officer is the most important part, I think, of any loan type of business, no matter what type of loan it is. The loan officer is the one who actually meets the people. I wish more face-to-face, but actually builds a rapport with the people, finds out what they need, what they're looking for, and what would make them happy. So I think I'm doing well from that going down point of view.
Right.
So that's about, for that. And everybody knows I love reverse mortgages. I hate that name, but that's another story altogether. We can have a whole show on that.
Yes,
and of course, I feel education is the number one thing because so many people misunderstand it. But that's my little elevator speech, and I've reached the roof. So go ahead.
Well, I kind of actually do want to hit on that for a moment. I feel that it is very important. I'm sure you may have talked about this with your audience before, but I think it's important to address the elephant in the room that, yes, reverse mortgages did have a bad name. And what I like to tell people is what has changed. And since I started in 2009, I would say that that's where the end of some of the negativity started to go away. And what happened is a lot of lenders started changing how they looked at reverse mortgages, but also the industry. They started requiring counseling. They started requiring financial assessment. So there's a lot of things that were put in place to prevent the negative sides of reverse mortgages. I think one of the biggest ones that people always heard, Jay, were seniors getting kicked out of their home, right?
Oh, yeah, that's great. And I still see newspaper articles about that. And if you read the whole article, you can see it had nothing to do with the fact they had a reverse mortgage. But
exactly.
Headlines matter, and headlines make money. So.
Yep. And what I want to tell your audience, though, is it's not right for everybody. That's why you need a good loan officer to help you, decipher everything and determine if it's a good, viable solution. But what the industry did is we started saying, okay, first of all, instead of somebody getting kicked out because what was happening is one person may not been on the loan, well, then FHA said, you know what, that second person can stay. So that's a huge burden that they took on to try to make the program safer. The other thing is they started making us as lenders prove that this is a good long-term solution. Before, to just sign the documents, be done. Now can they pay their tax and insurance? What does this look like? And unfortunately, sometimes we have to tell people they can't afford it, but that's really telling them they need to make a bigger decision. Is this house right for them? If we can tell they're not going to be able to live there long-term, I think that they need to figure that out too. So, the looking into reverse mortgage can bring up a lot of other things. They can bring up issues you've had on your title work, from appraisal issues to everything. But it does clean it all up in the long run, right? Once you
Absolutely.
Get that, it's all cleaned up and whoa, people have title issues, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. People have title issues they had no idea they even had.
Yep.
Spouses may have passed away 30 years ago, but that spouse is still on title with them. Now, that's an easy thing to fix, but I've seen some much more difficult, and we get it fixed up for them.
Yep.
And as far as the taxes, there is the life expectancy set aside, which is, actually LESA, but we like to call it Lisa because we kind of give a female name to everything that's negative. So at least the boys do. So
I put a female name for everything positive in my world over here.
And that takes a little more equity. And I started a loan at the beginning of the year. They didn't have enough equity, but you know what? We're ordering documents, or we already did this morning, because the interest rates went down. And with the interest rates going down, not to mention the property values going up. And by the way, the people got older anyway. And all of those things put together, this became easy.
Yep.
Well, not quite so easy. I may have to chip in quite a bit, but I would do that any time to make sure something happened.
Right.
And now they don't have to pay their taxes and insurance for the rest of their lives. So that's extra savings.
Yep, exactly. And that's what it's about. Some people get stuck on a number of amount of money they're receiving, but they don't see everything else that's being taken care of and the peace of mind, right? The peace of mind alone is huge. So I'm excited to talk about some of the things I have later on, Jay, but I will let you turn it back over to you over there.
No, I'd love to take it. And everybody knows I can't stop talking unless somebody puts a plug or a cork in my face. And my wife's got one hanging around here somewhere. But since we have such a short time, I'd rather we're able to share as much of your wisdom as you can. But I'd be happy to talk anytime. And I can always jump in.
Okay. Well, let's get started then. I think, what I want to kind of talk about today is, like I said, basically how to get you to move forward on we call it at FAR, getting to work on retirement, taking that work. If you want to work on something, let it be retirement. And, what I like to do in my personal life though is, let me back up a little bit. If you look at any anybody that's religious or into astrology, or even huge billionaires, Oprah, Tyler Perry, they all do something. I call it manifestation, but it is just putting your intent into something, right? Something that you want in your life. And we have realized that a lot of people, like I said earlier, get paralyzed in retirement, and they don't even think about what's next, right? They don't have a dream anymore. And we have worked with, it's on our website, people, multimillionaires, $15 million homes in LA, who had the same thing. One guy said that his wife had died years ago and he was stuck, and he finally did this because he stopped working and he was able to travel the world, right? And he said he was a lawyer, and Jay, he took 2 years to make a decision. He had all of his lawyer friends read it, and when you watch his video, it's powerful because he was like, he went from him being sad and depressed, and a widow, to happy and living his life that he never even imagined. So what I urge your audience to do today, Jay, is I want everybody to write down what they think is their next step, or what is their next dream. What do they want to do next? Do they want to just fix up their house? Is there health issues they need to take care of? And I have some questions for them. I asked everybody to get a piece of paper out, because this is kind of these questions are kind of what we use when we talk to a borrower to see if this is a good fit. So I'm going to ask 10 or 15 questions. If you answer no to some of these, I'm not saying reverse mortgage is right, but you need to start thinking about some additional things that's possible. And we break these up into 5 areas: your psychological needs, your safety, feeling loved and belonging, your esteem, and then self-actualization. So let's talk about those. So your psychological needs. Right now, this is protecting your home, about protecting your home. Can you meet your monthly expenses and have a little left over? Yes or no? Is your current home meeting your current needs? And are you current on your tax and insurance? So if you said no to any of those, it's a signal to you to see what you can, what you should do next, or start looking around and see what's possible. Safety. Have you thought about if you can maintain your home long term? I think that's something that a lot of people forget about. They can't, if they have yards, upkeep. A lot of people, they think they can keep up with it, and then something goes and they can't. I would also say that with COVID, and this is kind of off topic, but with COVID, now people are definitely not wanting to go to nursing homes. We know that we have vaccine, but people are now looking at how can they not only age in place, but prevent from going to nursing homes. Would an unexpected home or health expense throw you off track? So that's a good one. And what I will say has happened dozens of times when I was a loan officer, Jay. And when I was a loan officer, I was in call center. So it was a whole different beast, right? Like I'm calling random people and they're like, reverse mortgage.
Luckily I was too fat to fit in those cubicles then. So I didn't have to do much of that.
So but what it did is it obviously helped me grow and figure out how to overcome those objections. And what I would find is we talk to somebody, of course, they're talking to a stranger over the phone. They already think reverse mortgages are bad and something's not right or too good to be true. So who the heck would, so we have to have, what we learn to do is do this type of discovery and help them understand what it needs, how we can help them go to that next step. But what I was getting at is, so many people would say, no, I don't want it. And then Jay, they would call me a year later, 6 months later, and they got behind on something or something happened, and then they're no longer approved. And, as you know, people can get a line of credit. You don't necessarily have to take all the money out. You can leave it sit in a line of credit and just let it sit in case you need it. That line of credit grows over time. But if you don't need it, let it sit there. So that's one thing that, a lot of people forget. And I'm by no means can't tell the future, but we know that house rates are going up right now, but there's a chance they're going to start going down as well. So you would want to lock in your reverse mortgage when the value is high. We don't know where that peak is at. We never do. Otherwise we would all be rich. But there's kind of going to become a time when rates start going back up and values start dropping. And so start looking at options now, because it can't hurt you because your line of credit will grow. So get it while it's locked in high instead of waiting till it gets low.
Absolutely. And, one thing, and I'm not going to interrupt for too long.
No, you're fine.
People say, well, I don't need it. Well, you don't know today what you might need in the future.
Right.
I had more money than I knew what to do with at one time. And pretty quickly I didn't have enough money to buy a cigar. Well,
You probably smoke expensive cigars. That's the problem.
I did. But then I went to, $3 cigars and less. And, I used to smoke them halfway down, throw them away. Now then after that, it was a roach clip down to the last inch. But, not only that, it's, and I really hate the idea that people think they need to be poor or they need it for help. I mean, I think I've mentioned on the show, I don't know how many times, about the guy down here near the Ritz-Carlton with a $25 million home that took out $4 million to buy his kids a couple of $2 million homes. I tried to be one of his kids, but he thought I looked like his father than his kid. So that's something part of the education.
Yep. I like you bring up that point. It kind of goes with two things. First, everybody has equity in their home because they're saving it for an emergency, right? And what I would think is 2020 was one heck of an emergency for everybody. And a lot of people they just have this feeling of what's next, and having money security, or at least knowing that that's not an issue, can make a huge difference. So what I challenge people is what else could be an emergency or something that'll make you take action? I'm not saying to go and, go crazy, but think about where you're at. And with the things with the children, we've noticed a lot of people taking out reverse mortgages to help their children with them while they're alive. Why
Absolutely.
wait until you're gone in the ground, right?
And enjoy times with your children and create memories for them. And you know what? Create memories for yourself also, because Susan Geffen, a great elder care attorney, said, as long as you are alive, you have a future. But she also wrote a book called Take That Nursing Home and Shove It. And I thought of that when you mentioned that earlier. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I love that we're on the same page. I think, seeing people help their children and create those memories. So, everybody needs to look at their specific situation. That's why we're kind of going through some of these questions. Next question, though, do you have health insurance? And is it good? I mean, depending on how much extra you may be paying, think about that and you feel like you're covered. And then the big question, how do you feel about your future? How do you feel about your future? Are you scared? Are you happy? Are you nervous? Think about that, and then think about what you're doing to get that to a positive feeling, not a negative feeling. Moving on to love and belonging. This is a good one. Talk to us about your community. Are you plugged into any group or friends, family?
Well, I live in Irvine, which is the dullest city on the face of the earth. And, nobody knows anything. In fact, I think it's against the law to have a front porch here. But other than that, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so may not. The problem is that
I'm sure people talk to each other, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Do you have a community support to rely on? So, when I think about these extra things, the social side of it, I think about my borrowers who started their actual second life passion, right? People who, I've had what I thought were several passions, and some of them, I don't know, it was just a phase, but people truly have passions they never follow. It's either because they're too busy doing their 9 to 5, they don't think they can do it. And we have some exciting stories, Jay, of people opening up their businesses they've always wanted to do, traveling the world, and starting things that one guy, his whole life was wanting to buy some type of boat. I don't remember the boat, but when he bought that boat, he sent us pictures of it. He was so proud, been waiting his whole life for that boat. So that's the type of things we want to help people achieve.
I love boats too. And people always told me it was like, a hole in the water. No, I loved it. So yeah, I understand that completely.
I have a quick story about a boat. When I first moved here, my partner and I went to a whale watching tour. And
oh yeah.
What was interesting is, I always talk about following your dreams. And to me, it was like, going out, seeing San Diego, and we saw a blue whale, the biggest whale, and to see how huge it was. And the guy told us that they very rarely show their tails when they dive. And I don't know if you know how you hunt for a blue whale, but you're out in the middle of nowhere and they go down for 10 or 15 minutes, and then you'll start seeing their water spout up, right?
Yeah.
But it has to be against the sunset or the sun to see it. So you could be miles away and you see it, zoom over there, they're up for a few minutes, they go down.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. His story was he never had captained a boat? Never captained a boat. And he was here on a basketball game, like college basketball game. Went on the tour, fell in love. And what's crazy is it was his calling and his passion, because he started with just doing drones, and now he owns his own boat. And I will challenge anybody. He has a connection with the animals somehow. So he always knows where they're at. He always has. His website is gonewhalewatching.com, and his videos are amazing.
I'm gonna look that up.
And he's the first person to see a beluga
Gone
whale.
Whale Watching.
Yes, he saw a beluga whale in San Diego. The first person ever that got this far south. Yes.
Wow, that would be incredible. I used to see, of course, you always see during the season lots of gray whales.
Right.
And the blue whales, of course, are that much better. I never knew where they were, but I guess they would look for me because I kind of looked like them back then.
They were up La Jolla Cove. There's a deep trench there, and that's where they go and dive. I saw a dolphin stampede. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those, but that's awesome. So you're in the middle of
Yes, I've been in the middle of those.
Yeah. And they get right next to the boat, and it's like you can almost touch them. But what I was saying is at the very end, it's like we knew that it was going to be the last time he dived down, and it was just beautiful where the blue whale were like, okay, it's going to be the last time, like see if he does his tail, and did it in the sunset. We got the perfect picture. So having that moment to me was like, it was amazing. So I want to help people like on your show create those type of moments. Yeah, that tour was expensive, but it was well worth it. I want to go again. So think about memories you can make with your family, loved ones, friends, and what's preventing you from doing that.
Yeah, even if you have hundreds of thousands or $1 million in the bank, go get some more you can spend. It's easier to spend it that way even, and have more left over and have more of those memories. So it's a win-win for everyone, this product.
Let's see, what's next on our list? When's the last time you had a good conversation with somebody? I think that a lot of people, if they're alone, it gets really tough.
Well, with you right now.
What's that?
With you now.
I think my internet. Can you hear me okay?
Good. I mean, the last good conversation I've had is with you right now.
Thank you. I think my internet, every time around 4 o'clock, something gets weird with this, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I think, one of my philosophies, something that I've noticed with people that I have experienced that get depressed in life, not even talking to new people, but I know you're a music person, Jay, and I noticed when people stop listening to new music, and if you notice people who are depressed that I've noticed, when somebody's depressed, the music they listen to is the music that they remember back when they were last happy.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, if I think about one of my uncles where he was always listening to the same music that he remembers when he was younger, because that's the last time he was happy.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah. So, think about it. If you see somebody, and it could be, it doesn't say you have to listen to brand new pop music, right? You don't have to listen to Lady Gaga or, somebody.
Well, Lady Gaga is getting old. What are you talking about?
She is getting old.
Yeah.
She is getting old.
I think my favorite band right now would probably be, what is it? LCD Sound Systems. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, they did a song with Sia I saw the other day. More of a dance song though. But yeah, challenge. Are you doing things that are new in your life? Let's not even say music. Are you? Because we talk about stop learning. When you stop learning, you stop growing. And part of music, art, a new subject, learning something new will help you continue to grow. And I think that's important.
Like I listen to when it comes to pop music, I'm more of a child of the 90s, when it comes to trip hop, those things on 4AD, Portishead, Dead Can Dance. I don't know if you know those things.
I do not. Jay,
you absolutely should be. And of course, jazz from the 50s and 60s. All that. And I keep rebuying them on vinyl. It's an important part of my life. And I know we're running out of time, but real quick, I talked to a doctor who said that if you want to stay off Alzheimer's and dementia, if you've been listening to loud music, keep listening to loud music. If you lower it, you've got a problem. And you know what? We got to go. And I am so sorry we got to go. It goes so fast. I can't believe it.
Yes.
But you know, Ryan, you helped me make a big decision here. And that is to let this show go to 2 hours starting. People like you will be on.
Don't put that on me, Jay. You're gonna be cursing my name in a couple months.
No, and I know you're gonna be busy, and I don't expect you to be on all those shows. But you know, I really had a great time this time, and I hope you did too. And I hope you'll be back with us soon.
Yes, we'll finish these questions.
Sign,
we'll finish these questions and talk about next step, manifesting the next step.
Yeah. Not crazy about reality, but it's still the only place to get a decent meal, according, so Kaplan will be here on the same corner in front of the cigar store next week. Sean, Ryan, listeners, please stay safe and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
You've been listening to the Educated Retirement Show with Jay Kaplan. Tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. to learn more about your mortgage and reverse mortgages. And don't forget, each show is also podcasted on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. Thanks for...